Third down and 20.
What is going on? Welcome back. Episode 26 of the 3rd and 20 podcast. My name is Frank Entwistle. We've got the main man himself, Ryan Steed. What is up, Ryan?
Going on. Let's get to it.
So we are recording just after my Steelers getting another dub. I mean,
on a Wednesday night.
On a Wednesday afternoon.
Yeah, Wednesday afternoon.
Against a completely battered Ravens roster. I kind of felt bad for them because it was a closer game than some people expected, but I think you kind of just knew all along that the Steelers were just kind of in control of that game.
Especially, the Ravens defense put up a fight all afternoon. They played exceptionally well. I thought the Ravens could never get anything going on offense just because, they have no one on offense, and RG3 is not going to be able to lead you against the Steelers defense. But hats off to the Ravens defense. I mean, they made it a game late. They kind of had a shot after Trace McSorley throws that wacky little touchdown to Hollywood Brown. But, the Ravens covered. So there you go.
I mean, yeah, you knew this game wasn't going to end up not being one score. It's a Steelers-Ravens game. But yeah, I'll give credit where credit is due. That Ravens defense is super physical. That secondary is just really good. Marlon Humphrey was making plays left, right, and center, as per usual in these Steelers-Ravens games. Ravens safeties weren't making it easy on the Steelers receivers. And also, the Steelers receivers weren't making it easy on themselves by dropping passes left, right, and center.
The Ravens had a shot to take the lead at half, too.
Yes, you're right.
Mismanagement of the clock there. They took that timeout, I think, earlier, and then they couldn't get on the ball because I think it was like Vince Williams just laying on the rusher, doing a little veteran.
Yeah, that should have been a delay game.
So it's just is what it is. But they score there. They had the lead going to half. No one would have guessed that, and could it have been a different game? Probably. But I think all in all, everybody knew the Steelers were going to win this game. You weren't facing the Baltimore Ravens tonight. You were facing the Baltimore COVID, Baltimore coronavirus.
The other thing, too, you're right, because that end of the half was really interesting, and I think the Steelers did really get away with something there. The other thing, too, is that in the second half, when the Ravens decided not to let Justin Tucker kick what would have been a 58 or 59 or 57-yard field goal, granted, that would have been the longest field goal kicked at Heinz Field, but at the same time, it's Justin Tucker, and you paid him a fat contract to be your field goal kicker. You're a team that's been losing the football game the entire time. Was that a bad decision from John Harbaugh not to try and put 3 points on the board there for your football team?
It was necessarily a bad decision just because, like you said, that would have been the longest field goal. But who else could have done it than Justin Tucker? His only miss this year has been from 61 yards. He's without a doubt the best kicker in the league, in my opinion. I would have given him the option to do it. I would have been like, yeah, get out there. If you miss, you miss, and we're probably going to lose this game anyways. If you make it, well, first of all, you go down in history, and second of all, we got some momentum, and we can get back in this game right here. So I think you take the kick there. I think they were being a little too safe. They were trusting the defense, saying, okay, we'll just punt here, get the ball back, and see if we can get anything going. I think they missed out on not a very probable 3 points he could have made.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you because realistically speaking, if that's not a game-losing decision by Harbaugh by any stretch of the imagination, especially because of how well their defense has been playing. But at the same time, as a Steelers fan watching that game, I was very relieved when they sent the punting unit out there. Because we weren't scoring necessarily, but that was because of the Ravens' red zone defense. I thought that we were really moving the ball and controlling the clock for a lot of that game. So just letting the offense get out there and get back on the field, and not having the opportunity to tighten that game up to where the Ravens could potentially tie it or win it with a field goal, that sat very well with me at the time. And I understand, especially because he was kicking towards the open end of the stadium at Heinz Field. I don't really know the weather there if there was a ton of wind. It seemed like a pretty nice day out there. I know Boswell missed the extra point, but other than that, it didn't really seem like a harsh kicking weather at Heinz Field. It's a tough stadium to kick at, probably the toughest in the NFL, but I just think given the circumstances and what you were working with, you just have to take the risk. I don't think you're ever going to win that game playing it safe, but maybe he was playing it to cover the spread. Who knows?
And maybe he had Ravens plus 10.5. Who knows?
Yeah. But let's get into the meat of the episode because I've got a segment that I found very interesting, and it's going to be what's up with the Bucks offense, because we see 1 week they'll blow a team out like the Panthers, right? And then the next week they'll put up 3 points against the Saints and do absolutely nothing. And then the next week they'll go and blow out the Panthers again. And then the week after, Tom Brady will throw multiple interceptions against the Rams defense, and not just any like ugly interceptions. So I wanted to go in and figure out what's going on with this Buccaneers team. What's going on with their offense? And Steve, just at face value, what do you initially think the problems are with this Buccaneers team right now on offense?
Really looking at it, it's just we touched on it a couple episodes ago. It might have been the last one, but it just to me it seems like there's no feel for the offense. Romo said it nice. It's just complete night and day for what Brady's been doing and what he did in New England. There's no motion. They don't do any play action. You see, like the receivers and Brady not really on the same page. It's very much of an air raid offense, no balanced attack, and it's just we're about to really get into it, but it's very hard to really watch sometimes, honestly.
Yeah, and the one thing that I saw before I did the analysis was it just seems like this Bucks team has the same plan of attack game after game after game.
Doesn't seem like they
And that
adjust at all.
yeah, it really feels like they just go out there and expect to line up and win with their talent. And
Mhm.
given what's happened to them during the season, I think it makes sense that okay, against teams like the Panthers, I'm sorry if you're a Panthers fan because it's just a good example. They just destroy the Panthers. Like the Panthers aren't a bad football team. Yeah, they're not insane, but they're not a bad football team. They can go out there and win games. I mean, they gave the Chiefs a run for their money.
Mhm.
But against a team like that, especially when you have the talent like the Bucks do, you can go out there, line up what offense you want to run and win. Panthers, they got that young defense. They don't match up very well against all the skill players on the Bucks. They don't have that phenomenal pass rush that can get home. And they just don't really have many answers for what the Bucks do on offense. Whereas teams like the Saints and like the Chiefs, they have answers. They have much more talent on their defensive side of the football, respectively. Especially also when they have offenses that can consistently move the football and score points when you put the ball in their hands. So I think that has kind of answered my why do the Bucks seem to struggle against every good team that wasn't named the Packers when Aaron Rodgers threw practically two pick sixes. And in the analysis, the first thing, at least watching this Chiefs game back, the first thing, easiest thing that jumped out to me was just the pressure that's on Tom Brady. The Buccaneers, they were starting two rookie tackles this game, and it was clear because every third down, at least in the first half, Tom Brady was getting blitzed and they were getting home. And it was really impacting Tom Brady. So we're going to see an example here. They would just overload a side. We have a 2nd and 6 here. I'm pretty sure this is the first possession. They just overload this side. And Brady's got to make a really difficult throw getting hit. And what you have to remember is in New England, that was an offense where he didn't get hit a ton.
No, he
Okay, you
didn't.
can remember back when they played the Broncos in the NFC Championship or AFC Championship against Peyton Manning. I forget exactly what year that was, but The Patriots famously lost that game because the Broncos were able to get home. And that was always the big mantra for how to beat Brady. Just rush for and get pressure. What the Saints were able to do, the Saints just played coverage, two high safeties, rush for, get pressure. And, it's a similar thing to what the Chiefs were doing. I mean, you see, they have two safeties over the top. It's just man coverage. And now they're not rushing for, they're blitzing. But they just get pressure on Tom Brady. And, if you want to blame Tom Brady, it's hard to because look at the throw that he ends up producing off of this rush. I
Yeah.
mean, this is right on the money.
Yeah, Mike Evans definitely should have had that. And like, since you're talking about how many times he's been hit, last year on New England, he was hit for a whole season of only 37 times. This year, through 12 games in Tampa Bay, he's already been hit 44 times. Even though the sack numbers are down, he is a quarterback that's getting hit and hit a lot. He's going to be over the 50 mark. He might even reach the 60s by the end of the season unless the offense drastically changes in this last 4 games. But he's getting nailed back there. And you see it on plays like that, even though actually a really great pass and Mike Evans, like that's just another play where, like you would hope your receiver can make that kind of catch, especially when the ball's right on the money, but he's getting nailed.
But at the same time, just think about if Tom Brady wasn't getting absolutely destroyed as he throws the football. Like, that was nearly a perfect pass while he's getting hit. Just imagine if he has that extra third of a second. That's, in my opinion, that's 100% a catch, and that's a big play. And it's these long passes that they keep on messing up. And I think the other part of the problem is that not only are they allowing free rushers, it's their offense is so vertical. It's so, you know, we see two high safeties, man coverage across the board, and it doesn't matter. We're just going to go vertically down the field, not a ton of short passing. And when you have these free rushers, it creates a lot of the problems like you saw in that last throw. It just takes a whole lot of things to go right to make a play to happen. And the other problem too is just the miscommunication with his receivers, just over and over and over again. So the Chiefs are going to do another rush here. They're just going to overload the left side this time. And it's just once again, there's no underneath option to hit. It's just always so vertical. It's always so, and it's just hard to watch just because in New England, if you rush Tom Brady, he was getting it out underneath every time, getting it out underneath, and he was making you pay, taking what the defense gives you. There's none of that, it feels like, in this offense anymore.
No, there's really not.
Yeah, and then if we want to go further on Brady and his receivers just not being on the same page, it's just here's another rush where receivers just don't know that they're hot. So the first problem is that you're going to have Evans down here. They have a rush off the left side. He should be one guy that's hot because there is absolutely no one. If we fast forward a little bit, you see, there's no one here. Just turn your head for Tom Brady. And the other problem, too, is Brady wants Brate right here. He wants him to be hot. Brate has no idea that there's a blitz coming off the left side with a free rusher. And, first off, he just doesn't get his head turned around in time. And
Yeah.
it's little things like this that not only are they going vertically when teams are blitzing them, and pretty much no matter what, they're just always going vertically. When they try to go short, there's so many things that just go wrong. You have one mistake here, another mistake here, another mistake here. It's just so different from what we saw in New England in a team that kind of prided themselves on mistake-free football.
I think that's why you see like his bad throw percentage like at what it is. It's at 20.5% of the season. And I think that's a mixture of like what we've been kind of talking about is like the crazy amount of hits he's already gathered, and like his receivers not being on the same page, forcing him to make these like wacky throws that just don't look like they're anywhere near the ballpark. Where you look at all those weapons, like what's going on. Well, I mean, this is what it is.
This is a tight throw. Don't get me wrong. But guys like Edelman, guys like Wes Welker, guys like Gronk in his prime, and the whole slew of running backs that the Patriots used, they made these plays. And here we're going to see one last example of miscommunication, especially vertically down the field. At the top of the screen, Mike Evans. The timing's just off. Brady expects him to go further. Mike Evans is going shorter, and he overthrows him. You can blame this on Brady, and to the casual fan, this just looks like a clear overthrow. But Brady doesn't know when he's going to turn around, so he's expecting Evans to keep going and to do more of a traditional back shoulder throw. Right when the ball gets there, he turns around, falls out of bounds. But Mike Evans just stops up here, and it leads to an incompletion. This isn't, and part of this isn't even on the coaching. It's just, you just haven't been playing together a whole lot in a COVID season. The practices are all weird because that's a great matchup. Mike Evans one-on-one on the outside. You can't really ask for a better matchup than that for Brady to pick. And it just doesn't end up working out. You just, like, from a coaching standpoint, that's a win for Bruce Arians and his staff.
Like, it is a COVID year, but like you would hope through week 12, they'd be some sort of the same page. But what you saw from the Chiefs game, especially in that first half, they're just still not there. And really, truly don't know what's going on there. Maybe it is like practice is just like more like minimized, but I mean, it's week 12. It's time to get on the same page and make plays.
Yeah, and if we can go into the coaching really quickly, it's just so much verticality down the field, and I honestly think that they need to get back to making the offense easier on Brady, not giving up on the run in later in games, and trying to really establish a consistent running game, not a running game where Ronald Jones occasionally will break one for 99 yards, a running game that Tom Brady, when he's seeing two high safeties and six guys in the box, can check it to a run where you have the numbers advantage and you can get 4 or 5 yards of carry. I mean, you spend a second round pick on Keyshawn Vaughn or an early third, one of the two. You spend a second round pick on Ronald Jones. You pick up Leonard Fournette in free agency. You draft a good run blocking tackle in the draft. Try to develop some sort of run game. And then off of that, they need to do more play action. Tony Romo during the game really hit on it. Not the Patriots. The Bucs are right now are 30th in play action usage. And your quarterback is getting nailed. His time to throw is down 0.2 seconds from 2019 with the Patriots. He's getting hit over and over and over again. Just make it easy on him. Get some play action in here. And off of that, like you said earlier, can we get some motions too? It's just the whole offense right now for the Bucs is just, let's line up, put all the pressure in the world on Brady to make a play, and win football games that way. And it works against bad defenses, but when you go up against these well-coached teams and go up against these really talented teams, things start to really go wrong, and it gets wrong ugly.
I mean, the offense is just really stale, and just going with like the running game. Tom Brady does lead the league in completions at 307, but he also leads the league in pass attempts at 474. As a team in whole, they've rushed the ball 277 times. But if you take away like quarterback runs and all that, and just make it with the and receiver runs and just with running backs running the ball, they've only ran the ball 245 times. So they've passed over 200 more times than they have ran the ball with their backs. And that just screams to me no balance, and there's just really no creativity on this offense. It's very, very, it's simple. It's just like we're going to go up there and try to like launch it deep and see if we can beat them, and we're going to do that on 3 downs. It doesn't work, And if they like brought in a presence of a run game and opened up the play action, I think you would really see all these playmakers on the offense really open up and start having success, and the Bucks start being a more of a threat in the NFC.
Yeah, and for me, it's not just the run game; it's the short passing games, and I think this is a good example of where a lack of motion comes in to hurt this football team. Um, you have like small little motions like this. I want actual motions. This tells me nothing as a quarterback. This tells me basically nothing. And what happens here, they're going to have a quick little screen up here to Godwin. A fine play call, especially against this look initially. Like, okay, we're going to leak out some linemen. We're going to have a guy block for him, get the ball in the hands of a guy that is great with the ball in his hands, really physical receiver. But this lack of motion, Brady has no idea what this Chiefs team could do post snap. They can completely shift. They can have guys go all over. They can blitz. Without these motions that is really popular in the NFL right now, you really only have a partial idea of what's going on. And what happens is they're going to have this safety roll back. And the problem with this is that they roll Tyrann Mathieu down. So it turns into just a one-on-one with Godwin. You have two guys out here. One's going to get blocked. You're going to have offensive linemen leak out. So it's basically a one-on-one with a guy that's good with the ball. That's a good matchup. That's a good call, like on paper. Just one-on-one. Godwin, a physical receiver against a D-back. But then what happens is they roll the safety over, so Tyrann Mathieu now gets down the box. You've lost your numbers advantage on the screen. You've lost it completely. Now you've got all three guys here on the outside. Then you got you got a lineman in here on the inside. And this is where I really think this lack of motion and this just always vertical is really killing them, because their short passing is now really bad. And when you look,
Yeah.
like, here's the game. There's just really nothing short. You're always forcing Brady to go, like, make plays past the line of scrimmage, 5 yards plus past the line of scrimmage, putting all the pressure on the quarterback, which isn't terrible. I mean, look, he still threw 3 touchdowns. These blue arcs these are touchdowns, and he threw some vertical touchdowns. These are all 5 yards down the field. He connected on a bunch of deep balls, but he also has these mistakes. And then when you look at this is 2014 Patriots Colts, where the Patriots kicked the crap out of a good Colts team, 42-20. And like, this is the kind of stuff that they would do, right? So they're just going to motion in Edelman and then create a nice little advantage for an easy play outside the numbers. Easy. This is what Tom Brady is lost by going to the Buccaneers. And it's not a factor of talent level. The Buccaneers receivers can do this. This is not rocket science. You can easily have Godwin and Evans, or AB and Evans, or AB and Godwin. It doesn't matter. You can have any combination of guys on their roster. And you've just lost that little creativity, that little, let's motion it to a bunch. We get a look that we saw probably early in the week, and we hit it for 8 yards and a first down. Just a nice little, it's a pass, but it's a money play. It's just easy free yards. And same thing here. This is where the lack of play action is killing them a little bit, because this is a play that every offense is going to run. But this little play action here, they have this blitz off of the right side that they've been seeing all the time. I mean, Brady got blitzed a crap ton against the Chiefs, but this little play action just freezes these linebackers for half a second. You see how they're not moving? Then it just opens up the tight end in the flat for free yards. This is what's been completely lost on this Buccaneers offense, is just these little nuances that can get them free yards. And now it's ending up in plays where it's like this. This is what your new short passing money plays have become. And it's just like, you look at, here's that Raiders game, 2017, that I just showed with that play action clip. Just look at all these little little money plays behind the line of scrimmage. There's so many. Compared to against the Chiefs, there's 4. Look at all this. Look at all the throws within 5 yards. And you can still, he threw 3 touchdowns still beyond 5 yards. But guess what? You don't have these 2 picks. You don't have all these incompletions. And you have all this consistent yards underneath. So that's basically what I got on the Patriots offense. Now, this isn't like a dire situation for them. They can easily fix a lot of this stuff. And especially with the talent level they had, like they only lost that game by 3 points, right? It was a close-ass football game.
It didn't feel like that, though. It felt like the
It did
Chiefs
not.
were just blowing them out all the way, which, like, after that first quarter, they were. I don't know. Like, I mean, still, like, the Bucs defense is very good, especially that front seven. They were able to make some adjustments there and keep them in the ball game, and then they did mount a little bit of a comeback, but like a little too late. And that's why I think like if the Bucs play good teams like the Chiefs, Saints, Steelers, and all those upper echelon of teams, just because of how faulty this offense is and just how vertical it is, and not enough protection for the quarterback, put some pressure off Brady or anything, and that's why I don't think they'll be able to contend with those kind of teams. I mean, you see it with the Chiefs with Patrick Mahomes. It's literally just boom, bang, first down, like quick ball out, Kelsey for 15 yards, and then go get the ball again and do the same thing.
Well, the thing is that their receiver, it's not. The problem isn't necessarily the verticality there. You can do that, but you have to have a well-oiled machine to do that because the Chiefs can still pound the rock if they want to. They can still hit plays on. I mean, look at week 1. It was not that vertical offense that we saw yesterday. It was dink dunk, underneath. The Patriots, the Bucs. I keep saying Patriots. The Bucs just every game they play, they at least against a good defense, they fail to get that underneath aspect of the game going. Unless they've had in that Packers game those 2 pick sixes, then okay, it's easy on your offense. But I think at the end of the day, it's not a question of talent. It's a question of execution across the board. Bruce Arians, let's get some more free yards. Take pressure off your quarterback. Yes, he's the GOAT, but take pressure off the quarterback. Don't make the offense have to be if Brady can make a pass under pressure. And because clearly it's not that he can't, it's just the communication between the offense isn't there. So you need to make the offense easier on everyone. And I think that that's just the big thing for the Bucs, alongside of this other little stuff. But it's all little stuff. That's what the Bucs aren't doing right. They're doing the big stuff right. They still can come back. They can still make plays. When the offense is firing, it's still really good. But they need to get the little stuff that the Patriots had going with Tom Brady working for this offense. Just holding linebackers for that third of a second to create yards. Just converting on easy third downs, knowing when you're hot, being smart and knowing, because like we saw that one Brady example, he didn't see the blitz on the other side, just Brady had it. It's a tough throw, it's a tough play, but that's the kind of plays that they made in New England. All right, let's move on.
Well, did you see where Bruce Arians said that Brady picks he picks all the plays now? Like Brady picks all
We're
the
not in
plays.
the meeting room. We don't know. I'm not gonna speculate anything on that. Maybe he does. Maybe he doesn't. I honestly doubt it.
I mean, just kind of throwing him under the bus, though, like low key.
Yeah, regardless, whoever's picking the plays, whether it's Arians, whether it's left twitch, whether it's Brady, the short passing game and the passes underneath need to improve at the end of the day, and people need to be on the same page. Like, it's not a question of talent, it's a question of execution. Let's go on. How bad did the NFL shaft the Broncos?
Dang, dude, they really did. They really did. Dude, they had, like no quarterback on your roster. You're gonna run out some practice squad receiver to play. Did he play a little bit of quarterback in college? That's what they said, or
Okay,
whatever.
yeah, he played a
But
little bit of quarterback in college. Congratulations.
Like, yeah, Temple State A&M University. Like, Jesus Christ, it looked horrible. Which, like, if I was a Broncos fan or a Broncos player, I'd be pissed because you saw like the Ravens game get pushed all the way back to Wednesday. Then why the Broncos have to play on Sunday? They were just like the NFL was just giving the Broncos a loss. I mean, you look at that game, the Broncos defense were making a stand in the first half, and if you have like just anyone that's played a down in the NFL or is capable of playing quarterback in the NFL, then maybe that defense is not gassed after the first half because they can hold the ball longer than a minute. So I would be extremely pissed, especially if like if they just had any competent quarterback. They could have won that game. I think. You know, you put a couple scores on them, let your defense play. Broncos could easily win that game, if not make it a little more competitive than it was.
Yeah, I mean, they threw more picks than completions, so that really
Well,
says it
like,
all.
was the NFL just thinking, well, like they're 4-7 anyways, they're out of the playoffs. Like the Ravens are 6-4. This is a dire like playoff game for them. Like they're in the playoff hunt. We got to like fold it back and like just screw the Broncos. Like they're not
So
going to make
here's what
playoffs
I
anyway.
heard. Here's what I heard from where I haven't done a ton of research into this, but basically the main reason why that Broncos game wasn't pushed back is because the Broncos quarterback room clearly broke protocol. And the NFL is like, "Oh, well, there are rules. If you break protocol, we are not pushing your game back." But my question is, well, did these other teams like the Titans and the Ravens not break protocol? I'm not sure the Ravens if they did or didn't break protocol, but I'm pretty sure the Titans earlier in the season when their game was moved did break protocol. So it's almost like some sort of double standard. Like, okay, well, because the Titans are a competitive football team, like their game gets to get pushed back, or because it was more convenient at that point in the season to push a game back, it can get pushed back. Meanwhile, you're just gonna, because it's now more inconvenient for the NFL, the Broncos don't get a shot. They got to play without a quarterback, and you don't even let their assistant coach play quarterback
I
that
think,
at least knows the playbook.
yeah, that's a good point because like that was the Steelers Titans game, right, where they just pushed it back for a whole week and just gave them bye weeks that week. The Titans broke protocol. I'm pretty sure. So
Yes.
like like that could easily because that was early on the season and they were like, all right, well we could just flex this and work it out now. Broncos, this is week 12 and they're just like, yeah, we really don't have any time to do this. Screw it. You got to play the game. Like maybe that was it. Like I can see that being it, but like at this end of the day, like you got to treat the league fairly, and that was the reasoning why. Then that's just terrible. Then again, this goes back to like right before the season started when we were like talking about college football and all that with like programs opting out. You've had months to prepare for like a little COVID scenario. You knew teams would break protocol. You knew how this would go. It doesn't matter if it's week 1 or week 15. It's going to happen. And yet we've almost been a year into it, and it still seems like there is no suitable like plan out there to really bring justice to every team. Let it be fair for every team. Because as you see, the Broncos got boned.
Yeah, I think the biggest mistake that is in the NFL right now is that the whole increasing practice squad and getting all of those reserve spots for people that have COVID isn't a great solution for when your whole team gets COVID. Because it's not only are you playing less talented players, in the Broncos case, you're forcing a guy who has not taken a single rep at quarterback, forcing him to play quarterback. I think that in the beginning of the season, now hindsight is 2020, and I understand, this is a completely hindsight is 2020 argument right here. Because I wasn't necessarily harping this in the beginning of the season either. But clearly, I think one of the main problems is that teams do not have enough spots because let's just say you increase the roster size to like pre-training camp roster size so that you had a whole like 20 players plus the practice squad that are
Taxi
able to
squad.
be in the facility, and yeah, like literally a taxi squad that are able to
Yeah.
like at least know the plays and be there ready to go just for this season, just in case shit hits the fan and, our entire quarterback room gets COVID. You at least have a quarterback, not just some rando guy that's like, okay, can you throw the ball more than 35 yards with a decent spiral? You're the quarterback. You're the quarter. It doesn't matter if you know a play. It doesn't matter if you've ever taken a snap in the NFL. He didn't take a snap in the NFL at all, at quarterback or receiver, the position he was listed at. He'd never
Yeah.
been on a field, not once.
I don't
He
think he's
was
going to be taking
never
many more
on the field.
snaps.
And then the NFL was like, all right, not only are we not letting your assistant coach play quarterback that at least
Bull
knows the
crap. They should
plays,
have.
you're forcing Mr. McGee out here. You might as well just pick someone in the stands that's eating a cheeseburger to be like, all right, you want to play quarterback? You think you can do it? Here you go. Here's your shot, buddy. Pat him on the back. Bam! Just
Yeah,
right in there. Just throw him to the Wolves.
that's
And
when
this
they
is a
call it
game that
third
counts
time.
for the Broncos. This is absurd. This has actually happened.
Yeah, that it really does suck. But like, imagine like, do you know the person Throw God?
Excuse me? That's a person?
Thro- Yeah, dude, look him up when you get the chance. It's just like this old, like 40, 50-year-old man with a beer belly, but he has an absolute cannon of an arm. He posts up
Mm.
pictures of like videos of him dropping back, him chunking it 40 yards and nailing the net, and he just turns to the camera and yells, "Throw God!" and then just runs away. Like, this is the perfect opportunity to put Throw God in uni.
I just the whole way the NFL has handled this has obviously just been a mess, and for some reason everyone is still adamantly against a bubble type scenario. Um,
I think you got to
I
give
I
it.
don't know.
I don't.
They don't want the.
I
No
mean,
one wants the bubble for some reason. Nobody wants the bubble.
like the bubble, like I mean, we've seen them do it for the NBA, it worked, and the MLB playoffs, it worked until Justin Turner literally got COVID the night they won the World Series. But I guess you could say it worked. I mean, for the
It's been
playoffs,
a
I would want it,
success
but
for everyone.
yeah. So like for the playoffs, I would definitely like don't see why they're not thinking about it. Like I know it sucks that you can't play like a huge playoff game in your home park, and it treats it more like an even ground. But at the end of the day, I don't think they would allow fans. I mean, I'd be shocked when the Super Bowl comes around, like really fans are allowed in. Honestly, I don't know.
Yeah, I I I I can see from that perspective that, let's say, a team like my Steelers, let's just pray to the gods here that I'll just say it like this: the Steelers or the Chiefs, one of these teams gets a home bye, that number one seed. All of a sudden, that home bye only just becomes a bye. Or like if you're a team that won your division, you have a home playoff game. It just becomes a neutral site playoff game. You lose that advantage that you were supposed to have earned by the rules. So I do agree in
Like
that
think
sense
about
of,
it when a 4 seed plays a 5 seed. Like I mean, those are pretty much neck and neck teams, and most in good amount of time, especially in NFC this year, the 5 seed is going to have a better record than the 4 seed. So that 4 seed, like a Giants, really needs that home field advantage. Like fans won't be allowed in anyways because it's New York, but like playing on your turf, like just having like the day-to-day routine of going in and having a game in your facility, you would feel more comfortable than you playing in, I don't know, like Orlando. I
yeah,
don't know.
I completely agree with that. And I can see why teams don't want to do it. It's just frustrating from a fan's perspective because of the success that other sports have had with the bubble.
Let's
But
deal with it. Like, I mean, nothing pissed me off more than not being able to go see the Braves in the play. Well, I mean, I went to a game, but like in Atlanta. But like, you think you think I want to go all the way out there in Texas? No, but like I bit my tongue and like went out there and did it because like, hey man, this is the world we live in, and if it gives you the best opportunity to finish the season and have a champion, then it's just something you're going to have to do. You know?
speaking of playoffs here, how about the Browns?
Oh,
How about the Browns?
playoff team, dude. Told you, called it. The 8-3 Browns. As long as they don't brown it up for the 5 remaining games, they are heading the playoffs. And it's looking even better now that they'll beat the Ravens too. So, what can we say about this team? Stefanski has done a hell of a job. What I said this when he came in.
Yeah, real quick, don't break an arm jerking yourself
Yeah,
off
I
here,
do. Like,
buddy. All right?
listen,
Yeah,
like,
you predicted the Browns to be in the playoffs, but let's hold it back just a little bit, man.
okay, I'll hold it back. But like, I'm giving a lot of my love to Stefanski because I thought that was a great
Oh,
hire.
he's done an unbelievable
I thought
job.
that was a great hire whenever they signed him, and it would do the biggest thing that Cleveland hasn't had in 20 some odd years is provide a culture, give this team an identity. Now they have one. Now the Browns are not the most exciting team to watch by no means. They're going to pound the ball and play good defense, and Baker is going to do just enough. But hey, man, it works. That's their identity, and I give all kudos to Stefanski in bringing that. Like this Browns team has faced adversity. They've won without Nick Chubb. They've won out without Odell. They've won without Myles Garrett. Three of their better players on the team, and they keep on fighting. They're winning games, like big games too. I mean, Colts, Cowboys was a big game at the time, but they don't have a easy schedule moving forward. But I mean, I still like this team going 10-6 and getting a little wild card spot. I don't. Do you think they win a playoff game? Because like I don't know about that, but like it really depends who they're matched up to.
Yeah, I think the matchup's going to be a big one.
So right now, I think they're matched up with I think they're the 5 seed. Yeah, they have to be since they're 8-3. They are the right now. They would be playing the Bills.
Mm,
That's tough.
but the Browns are a weird team. The thing that I really respect about the Browns, because I like how you put it, they don't win sexy, right?
They don't.
That's kind of what the AFC North has turned into again. Is the Steelers aren't a team that has necessarily wowed people. Yes, on the defensive side of the ball, they have because their defense is just absolutely absurd. But it's not like they're a team like the Chiefs or what the Ravens were last year or what all these super offense teams, what the Bucks people peg them to
Transcendent
be.
offense.
Yeah, it's just they're a team. Their offense isn't bad. We're able to score when we need to, but it's just play good, fundamental, sound football and win games. That's what the Browns are doing, man. They're not, especially recently. Earlier in the season, they were a little bit more. Let's try to be more offensive and whatnot. Recently, Baker has not thrown a pick in over a month of football.
Feel good
They're a
for him.
team that pounds the rock. They're a team that plays great physical defense. And that is a lot of games without Myles Garrett, by the way, who's their defensive player of the year front runner at one point. Like, this is what Stefanski has done is just really cool to see because I think he's someone that is embracing, hey, we're the Browns. Why are we trying to become the Chiefs? Why? And it feels like that's what every other Browns coach has tried to do. Bring this passing attack to Cleveland, drafting all these quarterbacks, bringing in receivers and all that. Always just trying to be pass first, pass first, pass first. No. This is the AFC North, and Stefanski is embracing it. Let's play good defense. Let's pound the ball, and let's not turn the ball over. And they are winning games as a result of it. Good on you for predicting it.
I mean, first of all, you're trashing the late great legend Freddie Kitchens, and that just cannot be tolerated. Dude was a monster, beast. But yeah, no, you're exactly right. They didn't like.
He was almost as good as Hugh Jackson.
Yeah, Hugh Jackson, the guy that went 1-35 and somehow got another like extra 5 games until they dumped his ass. Yeah, great franchise. It's finally
1 in
turned a new leaf.
35.
Yeah, 1-35. I never understood that. I screw that, dude. If I was a fan and we went 1-35, I'd be calling for a second. If I went 1-15 and then went 0-16 the next year, yeah, I'd be like, all right, get the heck out of here. But
You want to know what the funny thing is too? Is that you could kind of just see the dysfunction on Hard Knocks. Like if you watch the Browns Hard Knocks and then watched the Rams Hard Knocks, it is
Oh,
like
yeah.
night and day difference. Like you can clearly see that everyone, like Sean McVay is the guy and everyone believes him. Hugh Jackson, it was like it really felt like okay, it was every man for himself. Like what the
Yeah.
hell is going on here? Just it was weird. It was crazy to see, honestly.
Yeah, which would be cool. Like, I mean, obviously they wouldn't get Hard Knocks next year, but like if they did like some kind of like went into like a little preseason kind of Hard Knocks things in the Browns, I bet you it's night and day from that Browns Hard Knocks from a couple years ago, just because of what Stefanski has brought in, and I'm sure those players are finally like buying into it. You know, you're finally 8-3, you're not going to go under 500, and you know, like you just didn't see that with Hugh Jackson. Definitely didn't see it with Freddie Kitchens. I think he's too busy. Uh,
You should have put that the
stuff.
other way. You definitely didn't see it with Hugh Jackson because you didn't see a whole lot of winning at all with Hugh
Yeah,
Jackson.
and he didn't see it with Freddie Kitchens either. He's too busy stuffing down his gullet with McChickens. So
Okay, yeah, well, they also everyone was saying the Browns were a Super Bowl team before they even took the field, and then they were just setting themselves up for getting smacked by the Titans week 1 because I think the biggest thing you can see with a team to for a team to go from bad to good, in my opinion, it's not about getting to the Super Bowl. It's just about getting better. And I think that under Stefanski, all that Super Bowl, look at we have Odell Baker, all this. Like, no. Under Stefanski, it was just we're a football team. We started off getting pasted by the Ravens, but after that, it's just we need to get better every week. And I think that that has really served the Browns well. Speaking of
that would,
coaches,
yeah,
I want to touch on this is a sad one. Matt Patricia.
it's a real
R.I.P.
one.
Matt Patricia. You will forever be missed as the head coach of the Lions. I was really hoping at some point for two things in the NFL. Me and Steed have a bet on one of them, and that's the two quarterback system. It's coming. The
All right.
second thing, and it stinks because I think it's out the window with Matt Patricia gone. We will not see the 10 men on the field strategy be viable at the NFL level. You
Yeah,
know,
I
he
mean,
gave it a
it can't
valiant effort. It was tough.
didn't work, but you tried.
He tried. Listen, not every strategy is going to work, but I was really
See, like
hoping 10
that's
men on
where
the
like
field would.
Matt Patricia totally believed in quality over quantity when he would run the 10-man scheme because he'd be like, all right, dude, it's not about having 11 men out there, it's having the best men out there. I don't care if
It's
it's
about having
5,
10 good
8, or
ones.
10.
It's not
Just,
about having 11 average ones. It's about having 10 great ones.
yeah, like
10 great ones that really work together, that know each other's roles in and out.
that's the kind of
Just wasn't.
guy Matt Patricia is, dude. He's going to fire up that locker room, get those 10 guys he believes in, runs them out there on defense, get burned for a touchdown. But hey, that's not what matters. It matters what's in here.
Mm-hmm. That's what matters at the end of the day.
Uh,
Because guess what? According to Matt Patricia, I'd rather take 10 guys with heart than 11 guys without it.
and stop a touchdown.
And he lived through that. He lived through that.
He died on that. He literally died on that. Like he doesn't have a job anymore because of that.
This is just ridiculous,
But
dude.
yeah,
All right.
I mean,
All right, in all seriousness, Matt Patricia's gone. Lions fans, you can rejoice because, you know, the great thing about Matt Patricia, and this almost feels like it goes for every single ex-Patriots coach. Now, this was a defensive one. And aside from like Brian Flores, is that with Matt Patricia, you never knew if they were a defensive team or an offensive team. You know, it flip flopped a whole bunch. It was always like, you know, one week we're a defensive team. And then the next week it's like, you know what? We're an offensive team. And then they just flip flopped every couple of games, every season. It was
yeah,
every off season. It was like, okay, at the beginning of this year, we pick up Okuda. We pick up every ex-Patriots defensive player, no demand. Like, we're a defensive team. And then you see the couple of first halves where you have DeAndre Swift start going off and Matt Stafford having, I mean, he didn't really play well this year, but they put up points against the Saints that one game. And it's like, you know what? We're an offensive team.
They were just never balanced, but I feel like that's the Lions in general. Like I don't know. That franchise is just horrible as well. But Matt Patricia, like, I think he'll easily find another job. He'll be as a coordinator, but like, he's not a bad. He's just one of those guys not made to be a head coach. Easy.
Well, yeah, you also just had a bunch of players that would always come out and basically say how he's like just a complete wannabe Belichick, and he was basically just an asshole. I heard stories that he like would quiz players on the history of the franchise, and if they didn't know it, like I forget exactly what the punishment was, but there was a punishment. It's like, what year was our stadium built? Like, okay, what does this have to do with the game plan, coach? You're not in. You're benched. Like stuff like
Secretly has
that.
the pencil on the sideline for it. He's really not writing down notes or plays. He's writing down like a Quizlet for his players. You're
Do you
telling
have
me
a pencil near you?
Jeff? No, I do not. Yeah,
Pencils
gotta
out.
pay our
Pencils
respects
out for Matt Patricia.
and a huge ass play sheet. But like you're telling me Jeff Okuda
I'll
like
give you a
walked in that
pencil,
locker
Steed.
room.
Pencils
Do I
out,
not have
bud.
a pencil in here? The best I can do is this like
Yeah, but
screw.
I'll miss him though, because in general, just all the storylines around the Lions, the meme
A lot of good
culture about
jokes.
the Lions, it's gonna be forever missed. And at the end of the day, the Lions, Detroit, it's a place where things go to die. That's
It
that kind of
is.
they're that kind of franchise.
Well, who's their interim head coach now?
I have no idea. And for that, I'm not touching the Lions again. All right. And if I ever think about picking the Lions, please just like smack me on the side of the head for the rest of this season. I
I'm
am
taking the
done with the
Lions.
Lions. I don't care if they get Kenny Galladay back and Swift back and Stafford back, because that's the Lions every year. Every single year, it's like, well, we've got a couple good players. Yeah, look at us. We're the Lions. We're an offensive team. And then they just get destroyed somehow. So I'm done with the Lions. Because every single year at the beginning of the season, you're thinking, this is the Lions' year to finally turn around, and it never happens. They're just stuck
It
in this same cycle over and over and over again.
Yeah, they're stuck in like this bad dream that just never ends. Like you know how it starts and you know how it finishes, and there's nothing you can do to change it. You're just stuck in this like paradox. Like you know how the season's gonna end. But okay, so the head coach now, or the interim head coach, is Daryl Bevel.
Yeah,
And
Darrell Bevel, my boy,
it
offensive coordinator. I do really like Darrell Bevel, actually. That was one of the reasons why I did have hope for this Lions team.
and you're gonna even like this even more because he addressed the team today in the locker room, and he said because technically the Lions are still in the hunt. Is like what do you say again? Let's try to get a wild card playoff spot. That's what he said.
Yeah,
I mean, you win
yeah.
5 in a row. You're 9-7. Anything could happen.
But are they going to have 11 guys on the field now, though?
I think
What's going
so.
on with that? Is he abandoning the 10 guys on the field strategy?
It doesn't say that in this little article I read. He's probably trying to figure that out a little bit. Like what am I going to
Mm-hmm.
do? Like, but I feel like
Will be
he's
missed.
yeah he'll be missed. He'll be missed. R.I.P. Matt Patricia.
Yeah, you're completely right, though. Real quick, before we move on, the Lions, it's just the thing is, it's a bad dream, but it doesn't never end. In the off season, you wake up and then you're like,
It's a
oh, look at
coma.
this. And then all of a sudden, the dream starts again. And then the off season, you wake. It's like it's just the cycle, and that's the bad dream. The bad dream isn't necessarily the dream itself. The real bad part about it is every off season you wake up, you get hope that you're out of the bad dream, but all along you were still in the cycle.
Cycle never ends. Maybe it ends with Daryl Bevel because he thinks they're a playoff team. So just got to win
Listen,
5 more games.
Let's go get a wild card spot. Pencils out, boys. We're getting a wild card spot.
Yeah, too bad he won't have any pencils anymore. He doesn't. Look, the picture I'm looking at, he doesn't wear a pencil. He's got glasses
Yeah,
though, so that
God
could be
forbid
something.
you need to take notes on the sideline. I mean, with Matt Patricia there, you always had a pencil that you could go for. You had one right behind the ear.
I don't know, dude. I think he
I
was
mean,
writing down his like order after the game. Like this is what I want to eat from Five Guys or something.
no, I think he was just writing down more random facts to quiz the players on at halftime
Yeah,
and after the
easily.
game. He's like, "Oh, wait a minute. What's the single game rushing record for the Lions?" That's a good one. Let's go. All right. That's enough out of listen, Matt Patricia.
Is that the
In all
third coach can
seriousness,
now?
what's up?
Is that the third coach getting canned now? You had
You had
Texas
Bob.
coach. Yeah, you had the old
Bob,
Bill.
Bill O'Brien.
Yeah, and then you
Good
had
old Bob.
You had Quinning, and now Patricia. So that's three. Okay, I definitely know who I'm taking for my dog of the week.
And the GM. You had the
Oh
Jaguars
yeah.
GM gone.
Oh, the
Gonzo
Lions GM
Garbanzo.
too, right? They fired Bob
What's
Quinn.
up?
Lions
Yeah, I
fired
think
the
they
GM.
fired Lions GM, and then the Falcons, y'all fired Dimitrioff. But let's
Right.
go in before we get into picks and dog of the week. Now that you mentioned
That's
it,
right.
spoiler, we're doing picks again. Who saw that coming? Um, I wanted to ask you this: what did you have as a takeaway between the Patriots and the Cardinals? Former Matt Patricia, pencils out, baby, team. Because that was a really interesting game. This Cardinals offense has been struggling. They weren't able to torch a Seahawks defense, which is bad because everyone has torched the Seahawks defense except for the Eagles and the Cardinals, and one of those teams doesn't know how to play football. Um, you had a close loss against the Patriots. If you're a Cardinals fan or a Cardinals believer, are you panicking right now? Yes or no?
Dude, before I say that, like the Patriots are just been a really weird team because they lose to the Texans and then they can come out and play playoff caliber team like the Cardinals and beat them. They can play really close against the Seahawks and then play crappy against like the Chiefs or something like that. So like I really don't know what it takes for that, but if I am a Cardinals truther. But yeah, I think I'm a little worried because you are 6-5 right now. You have the last spot in the playoffs. And like this is crunch time, and like they are more of a younger team, and like I feel like especially Kingsbury and all of them, like they haven't been put in a situation where like the last four games are like very crucial of like getting into playoffs. Like if you're a bubble team, you got to end it now, and they're a team that has to finish out with at least 3 wins. I feel like, and I'd be worried of that, especially the way they've looked. Now, let me take a peek at their schedule. Let's see if it gets any easier. I know they probably have to play the Rams and probably the 49ers, right? Cardinals schedule. Thought I already had this up.
Wait, what
Just
did you
trying to
say?
think.
Sorry, I was looking something up.
I'm looking at. I would be worried if I was a Cardinals fan. I
You
would
got
be.
2 Rams games left if you were talking about the Rams.
Okay, yeah. I'm worried about those games. It just
I
seems
would
like
be too.
I, even though the Rams just got beat against the 49ers, but like
Different game, though. That's a
yeah,
divisional game, and that's a 49ers team that is well coached, that has had success against the Rams before.
yeah. So like I'm just worried about like I don't know if their offense could keep up with their defense because it just looks like they're just like all out of sorts right now. Dude, why is it okay?
Let me ask you this, though. Let's go to the other side. So, Cardinals. Cardinals in the playoffs. You buying or selling right now?
I'm buying. I still think they make playoffs.
You're
Yeah,
buying?
I'm buying.
Yeah, because they're in the 7th seed right now. They're a game up ahead of the Vikings, the Bears, and the Niners, and I know they beat the Niners week 1. Do they have another Niners game left?
Dude, they play on day after Christmas.
Okay, so with another Niners game, that's going to be a huge game, it looks like. If the Niners keep winning games, because
Also,
that last playoff spot could come down to that football game. And if the Cardinals, let's just say the Cardinals lose a couple more games, they're in a funk, and they're able to beat the Niners for that last playoff spot and be on the same record, they will have that tiebreaker, which will be massive for them.
yeah. So, and they also play the Giants this week and the god awful Eagles the following week. Two very easily winnable games that they could get, and that'd put them at 8 wins. You just win the next one of your last. If you beat San Fran, you're in. I'm pretty sure. Like unless the Vikings keep on playing like they are and go on a tear, but because I'm not buying the Bears. I think the Bears are going to really like they're already falling off, but like we're going to see this team not even win 8 games this year after starting 5-1. And like I'd be worried about the 49ers.
I'm not sure they'll put up 8 points in the rest of the season.
Yeah, I don't think they will. That offense is horrible. But the Vikings and San Fran, like testing them, like you got to beat the teams you're supposed to, and that's the Giants and the Eagles. You win those 2 games, you're 8 wins. You just have to get one more. Yeah, I'm definitely buying the Cardinals still making the playoffs. Am I worried a little bit? Yeah, because like the 49ers are getting healthier, and you saw that last week when they beat a good Rams team, especially on defense. But I still believe this Cardinals team can get out of this little funk and secure a playoff spot.
You wonder who really helped themselves out is the Vikings. Before we touch on the Patriots, that comeback win against the Panthers was absolutely massive for their playoff
Mm-hmm.
hopes. But let's go on to the Patriots, where their situation's looking a little more grim, just because these wild card spots in the AFC right now are super competitive. That last wild card team right now, the Colts, are 7-4. So
And I had the Colts as top 5 team in my power ranking, like just crazy.
yeah, I mean, because you have the 8-3 Browns, you got the 7-4 Dolphins, and I mean, now the Dolphins do have the inherent advantage of playing the Jets twice, so they do get 2 free wins. And the
Oh, they still have
Colts
to play the
kind of
Jets
blew
twice.
that up
Oh,
against the Jaguars.
I thought the Dolphins just played the Jets. They got to play them at least one more
Yeah, they
time.
played the Jets. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They got 2 free wins already
Yeah,
into their
true.
record. So like, you're 7-4, but realistically, you're like, well, but beating the Jets twice is 1 win. Realistically, you're 6-4.
But the Colts
You get
have the
you get you get
Jags.
half a win each for the Jets. In my calculator, you get half a win. And so you're the Patriots, you're 5-6, you're still a game behind Baltimore, and you're still a game behind the Raiders. You know, the Patriots in the playoffs, can you see it happening? Can you see the Patriots going on a run? What are you thinking about that? Because let's just say the Patriots lose one game the rest of the season and they finish 9-7. Is that going to get you a wild card spot in this division at this point?
It depends like on what those other teams do, but like it should because let's say they beat the Dolphins, then they sweep the Dolphins, they would have the and they both finished 9-7.
That's a
They
huge
both beat the
game. You're
Dolphins.
right.
And then they
Mm.
still had to play the Bills. They lost to the Bills earlier this year. It was a close game. I'm pretty sure this game's on Monday night. But you sneak out a win there because like their schedule's pretty like the Patriots have a decent schedule. Like Chargers are not that great as we've seen. Like yeah, they can like threaten to win a game, but like you should win that game. Rams like it's in LA. That's a tough game, but like it's winnable.
And
Prime
the
time.
Patriots are a team that have had success against Sean McVay at least.
Yeah, like Belichick can squeeze that out. Dolphins, Bills, and Jets. Like what has Belichick done the best in the last 15 years? Beat up in the division. So he's familiar with the teams, familiar with the franchise, can definitely beat those teams. I mean, I don't know if I'd buy it, but I definitely give them a shot. Like I wouldn't count out the Patriots just yet. They could easily go 9-7, squeak in there. And let's see, like I know the Colts have they play the
I
Jags.
think
They
you're
play
right though.
y'all.
The big one, not the Colts, not the Browns. I think the big question is the Dolphins because
Yeah,
A,
that one could flip flop.
are the Dolphins going to keep being that hot team, or did they almost get a little too hot too early? And now that Tua's hurt and Fitzmagic has to play, are they going to cool down? They had a bunch of games where their defense and their special teams was scoring touchdowns. Are we going to see a Dolphins team that cools down now, and a team where their offense maybe isn't good enough to make up for that lack of defense getting a bunch of turnovers and scoring points and not letting up a ton of points? I guess this is going to be. I think the pressure right now is on the Dolphins to be legit. If you're legit, you have it. You control your destiny. You beat the Patriots. You win one more game, and you're probably in the playoffs, depending on what the Ravens do, because the Ravens maybe can win out. That's tough. Like, I think it sucks what happened this week, because this was a massive game for the Ravens against the Steelers to get the season back on track against a good team, but a team that I still think they have a game against the Browns, which is probably right now their biggest game that they have to have their sights on, is that they want to get their season back on track for a wild card spot. They need the Browns to win, but all the pressure right now is on that Dolphins team. Are they either going to stay in it and stay hot, or are they going to fizzle out because they have those 2 games against the Jets, and it's the freaking Jets?
I don't know. Like, it could be getting crazy because the Ravens, after this week, have a very favorable schedule. They play the Cowboys, Browns, Jags, Giants, Bengals.
That Browns game is going to be massive.
Yeah, it's going to be huge. But after that, I mean, Cowboys, Jags, Giants, Bengals. I mean, you win those games like you're supposed to. You win those games like you're supposed to. You're a 10-win team. You're in the playoffs, and then like you get.
You're probably in over the Browns.
Probably.
Like, I mean, the Browns. Let's just say the Browns. Let's say the Ravens beat the Browns, right? The Browns, they have. Jesus, this is getting nuts, because you're right. It could be the Colts or the Titans that drop out, but the Browns too, though. I mean, they had a tough game against the Jags. Now they're playing the Titans this week. Let's say the Browns lose to the Titans this week. Like, they got smacked week 1 last year. Smacked right in the booty last year. Week 1, 20-point loss. Let's say they lose by 10 this week, and then they lose to the Ravens. They are 1 loss away the rest of the season, aside from the Ravens and Titans, from being maybe not out of the playoffs, but the Ravens would have the tiebreaker over them. And like, there could be a crap ton of 10-6 teams this year in the AFC. The AFC is really competitive.
Crazy, because you usually think if you get 9 wins, you got that last seed. But yeah, I mean, dude, you look at it like the Patriots are 2 games back, so like the Patriots have to run the table pretty much, and Ravens and Raiders are both 1 game back. Ravens have a favorable schedule, and Dolphins and Colts are 7-4, and Browns are 8-3. Like, the next month, all these teams are just going to be fighting for, like, 6 teams are going to be fighting for 3 spots. And don't count out the Colts yet. They can easily still win the division if the Titans fall off too.
Mm-hmm.
So like, it's just, and the Dolphins like technically can still kind of win the division. And I guess the Patriots too.
Yeah, they could.
But like,
I mean, they have a game against the Bills, right?
yeah, they do.
Yeah, but right now, this upcoming week, this Titans-Browns game for both of the respective franchises is really big, because it's basically, now this is a little bit hasty, but whoever wins that game is basically in the playoffs. Then I'm gonna come out like, whoever wins that game is in the playoffs. It's not guaranteed, but it's like your odds dramatically increase for having a very favorable chance, and not being in one of those scenarios at the end of the season. Or if you're in a scenario, it's like okay, we only, we have like 7 outcomes and we make the playoffs in 6 of them.
I really think the Dolphins are going to fall out of the playoffs, though. I just have that feeling.
Who do you think's going to overtake them? You got Ravens, Raiders, Patriots.
Well, with the Ravens and the COVID thing, I like, if Lamar and everybody else is playing for the remaining of the season, starting on Tuesday when they play. I think the Ravens get it. Like the Raiders, did not impress me last week against the Falcons, and the
They
Raiders.
looked awful.
Yeah, they have to play the Jets, but you got to go play the Colts and the Dolphins and the Broncos, who are no easy test, and the Chargers. Like your schedule is not easy if you're the Raiders.
Yeah, but if I'm the Raiders and I'm John Gruden, I want to play the Colts and I want to play the Dolphins because guess what?
Oh yeah, you can bum
Those
them
are
out.
2-game swingers right there. And as a team right now that is a game behind those teams, that's huge. That's the kind of games that I want. I want to go in there and say, listen, this is a playoff game. Like, let's go. Like, yeah, the Raiders look like crap, but it's the freaking Raiders, man. This is a Raiders podcast. I still believe in the Raiders, man. We need to just get in the playoffs, Steed. Hell yeah, dude. Hell yeah.
Give us a shot.
Like,
Yeah,
we just bring on Matt Patricia. We get as many pencils as we need to write down other teams' strategies. And then, bang, we're able to out-scheme the Dolphins, out-scheme the Colts, destroy the Jets to the point where they don't even have a draft pick anymore. They're not even a franchise. And then the Raiders dynasty begins. Let's go, Raiders.
I like it. I mean, I can't pick a team. I think the Raiders could easily make it, and I'm going to root for the Raiders until I die. But, dude, this AFC is about to get wild.
Dude, I was feeling so good about the Raiders earlier in the season, too. It was looking so good.
Yeah. And, the NFC, it just really, it's not nothing did, the NFC and the AFC flip-flop this year?
Yeah, honestly, yeah.
I feel like the NFC is just kind of already done. The Saints are winning. The Seahawks are probably going to win the West unless the Rams can beat them again. Packers have had the North locked up, and the Giants. Then you got
the
race to 5
NFC
wins
East is
in the
just a
East.
crapshoot, but it's not like a fun crapshoot like the AFC. It's like okay, which pile of dog crap looks the best among the 4?
Yeah, and then bounce out first week in the playoffs. Lose game in the playoffs, get done. Because that 5 seed, I think it's who is it right now? It's the Rams. I mean, if you're playing that NFC East team, that's pretty much a bye week. So,
dude, imagine in the beginning of the season, someone came up to you and was like, "I just hammered the Washington football team to be first in their division." You'd be like, dude, are you a freaking lunatic? Like, you're hammering the Washington football team? And at this point in the season, you could argue they're a favorite.
Yeah, I mean, they're not in a bad spot because now they got Alex Smith playing and, veteran quarterback, not going to make mistakes.
Number one
and
pass
their defense
defense.
looks. Yeah, and then and Antonio Gibson looks like he's really got going too. So, I mean, they're not in a bad boat. I mean, dude, talking about the football team, we both took their overs in the beginning of the season.
We need to hit this over, Steve. What was it? Do you remember? Was it 5.5, 4.5, 6.5?
I think it might have been 5.5. I think we were marking them as a 6-10 team. And y'all play the football team.
Because I remember we were both just like, why are we doing this? Why are we taking this over? But
knew
Washington football team, baby.
Dude, there's a chance that none of these teams reach their over and wins, but there's still going to be a division winner. The Eagles and the Cowboys are definitely not reaching their over. I'm pretty sure the Giants had maybe the Giants were at 4.5. So the Giants probably get 5 because they got to play the Cowboys one more time. But God,
nothing's a given. There's not a single given win in this division. Every single one of these teams can lose and tie out, and no one would be surprised.
Also, what if this happens? Far outreach here, but the Bears. Mitchell Trubisky starts playing like the number 2 overall pick.
He's got the Lions this week. You remember what happens when Mitchell Trubisky plays against the Detroit Lions? 3 touchdown passes. It is written in the Bible. It is one of the truths of the world. It's that, you have death, you have taxes, and Mitchell Trubisky throwing 3 touchdown passes against the Detroit Lions. Those are the 3 givens in life. Dude, I'm taking that. You heard it. Third and 20 podcast. This is my take for this week. take the Mitchell Trubisky, if he's starting, over on touchdown passes because he is throwing 3. It has to happen. It's never not happened, you know?
Yeah.
And with that being
I mean,
said, let's get into the picks.
pick,
Because that was
do it.
basically a pick right there. Mitchell Trubisky, over on touchdown passes. As long as it's under 2.5, hammered. Bang. I'm going again. Come at
Dude,
me.
it'll probably be 1.5. It's easily going to be 1.5. It might be a
Yeah, it's
half.
going to be 1.5.
It might be a half. It's how
It might
bad
just
he's
be,
played
it might
Sunday
just be
night.
like, you know, over under just -0.5. I don't know. That's stupid. Bad joke. Dog of the week. Let's get into dog of the week. Ready for this? You want me to go? I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go because guess what? I'm taking your boys this week, Steed. So
Dude, don't do it.
a couple weeks ago, the Falcons kind of got pasted by this Saints team that's been on a roll. But guess what? This is a trap game for the Saints, and you may be really surprised to hear this, but the Falcons' defense is actually really good against the run. They have not let any running back this entire season, with all of the turmoil that they've had. There is no running back that has gotten over 100 yards against this defense. The Saints right now are a team that is built to attack through their running game. The Falcons defense played really well against the Saints in their last matchup. It's just they had a total of like 4 yards in the second half of offense. It was a close game. I think that this week the Falcons are able to get more than 4 yards of offense in the second half and actually move the football consistently. The defense continues to play well under our boy. The should not be interim, but is right now, but he will not be. You heard it recently on the Third 20 podcast, but the should be regular head coach, Raheem Morris. This defense is different. Falcons, dog of the week. Hit me money line, baby.
I like it. I took Falcons spread as one of my picks. No, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it because
Oh, come on.
dude, every time I bet on the Falcons, they lose. So I might
Yeah, that's
take.
how it works. That's how the Falcons work.
So what I'm doing, this is not my dog of the week. What I'm just going to do, I'm taking Saints spread, Saints -3, because last time I bet against the Falcons, they blew out the Raiders. So I'm hoping, like, I'm willing to lose a couple dollars for the Falcons win a game. That's just,
Hey, you'll help me out.
yeah, that's what kind of fan I am. But my dog of the week, I was between two games here. I'm gonna roll with them, dude. Browns +6
Ooh,
and
nice.
plus
I
two
was thinking
twenty.
about them.
I think I like this. I think I do. Like I've been on the Browns all season. We talked about it earlier before. This is a huge game for both teams right here. Because if you win, you're pretty much in the playoffs. I think the Browns, we've seen great progression. You're 8-3. You have in the last 20 years you haven't made the playoffs. This is the biggest game you've played since the last time you played in the playoffs. So this is their playoff game, and they win this game because they want it more. Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt, the duo. Baker Mayfield is going to make enough plays, and the defense will hold Derrick Henry. I know this is when Derrick Henry really gets going. He starts, averaging for 280 yards per game with 5 touchdowns. But I think the Browns can stop them, hold them to maybe under 200 yards. But I like the Browns here. Seriously, though, I like the Browns here. Get them a dub and go on out.
Yeah, this is a week that I wanted, like looking at initially at the schedule, I was like, oh, I really like the Titans for this week. But seeing them 6-point favorites, I was thinking it was going to be like a 4-pointer.
I
So
was shocked with
6 points,
6.
I think, is going to be a little bit.
I
It's
guess
tough
they're
because
really
I do like the Titans this week, but 6 points is a lot of points for a Browns team that is completely different from the Browns team at the start of last season. And I think that people are that start of last season Titans game is a little bit too fresh in people's minds. You have to remember this is the same Titans team that came out and lost to the Bengals. Um, this is the same Titans team that you just don't know what you're going to get on a given week. You have a Titans team that can on one hand blow out the Colts, or you have a Titans team that can go and get blown out by the Colts. So speaking of the Colts, I'm going to be taking them -3.5 against Houston. I'm a little bit scared of this pick just because Deshaun Watson has really been playing well. The Texans have actually figured out how to play football again. But at the end of the day, with no Will Fuller, no more Kenny Stills, who was never really involved, you have just obviously no D Hop anymore. I think the receiving core is a little bit too non-existent now. Supposedly Isaiah Coulter is going to be getting snaps, and I mean, if you listen to us in the offseason, I am anti-Isaiah Coulter. I think he's just trash. Listen, no offense to Isaiah Coulter or anything. I just didn't like your tape. And I just think the Colts win this game. I really wish it was -3, and I hit that -3 initially, and it right before the podcast moved to -3.5, but I'll still take -3.5. I think they can easily win this game by a touchdown.
I like that. I'm on the Colts as well. But my next pick, I got the Patriots here at Pick'em value against the Chargers, and I'm just gonna take Belichick whenever it's just you got to win the game, So I'll easily take the Patriots here. Like I said, Patriots are in the hunt. They control their own destiny. If they can win out, make some noise. They're playing a Chargers team that it seems every week it's like I think
Trying to
Vegas
lose.
yeah, they try to lose, but it's also that Vegas gives so much credit to this Chargers team and just gives them value that I don't think they deserve. It's yeah, Justin Herbert's
You want
really
to know
good,
why?
but should they be even up with the Patriots right now?
You want to know why that Vegas gives them a lot of value? Is their points for versus their points against coming into last week was positive. I think now because of a 10-point loss, they are 2 points negative. But it should have been just a 3-point loss because if you look at that quarterback sneak that they had, this is the only time in my entire life I have ever seen an offensive line pass block on a quarterback sneak. I think it's going to be the only time in my life I ever see an offensive line pass block for a quarterback sneak. Like you, I'm going to be taking the Patriots, but in a 6-point teaser, I'm going to be taking the NFC East teaser. I'm going to be taking the Dolphins -5 against the it's -5.5 now, I believe, because it's 11.5. So -5.5 against the Bengals with the Patriots +7 against the Chargers, using the theory that the Chargers games are always going to be one score. There's no way that they beat Belichick by 2 scores. That's my theory behind it, culminated with the fact that the Chargers just love to lose football games. I guess it's +6 now. I didn't know the line changed. So Patriots +6, Dolphins -5.5. Teaser, that is the NFC East teaser. Or AFC East teaser.
I like it. My next pick, I'm going. I know there's no Daniel Jones here, and that's probably why this line is
Oh, you're
really
taking the
inflated.
bait.
I don't know. Give me the G-Man +10. Defense should be
Oh,
able.
man.
Dude, Colt McCoy is a capable quarterback and can play in
I
this
was
league.
thinking about taking him.
I'm gonna take him, dude. Screw it. I believe in this Giants defense. They've been sneaky good. I know they had a bad week against the Bengals last week. The offense did, and all that. But you come in here, road warrior against the Seahawks. Colt McCoy's getting more reps now. Maybe he can get something going. I feel like if they were able to put up 17 points, against a still very questionable Seahawks team. Are they legit now? We've seen them beat up on 2 struggling offenses. But I mean, if Giants can move the ball, put points up there, I still think the Giants are a team that can hold the Seahawks under 30 points.
Yeah, I was thinking about taking the Giants. I just think it's the bait. This is a Seahawks. I will give you credit. The Seahawks offense has really been struggling lately. It's nowhere near as efficient and as productive as the Seahawks offense we saw at the beginning of the season with Russell Wilson throwing, 5 touchdown passes a game. and that Giants defense can definitely keep them in the game. I think the problem though is that I think the Giants are just going to get back to their turnover ways. They had this stretch for like the past month where they've been playing some great football. They were winning up front with their offensive line. They weren't turning the football over and playing really good defense. I do think though that we're going to start seeing a little bit of the old Giants back. But I'll at least agree with you. I think that 10 points is a lot of points to get for a Giants team that has played teams like the Rams really close.
And they're a playoff team. They're a playoff
Yeah, you're
caliber
right.
team.
They're a playoff team. Double-digit dog for a playoff team. Okay, so I'm going to be taking more bait. I'm going to be taking Chiefs minus 13.5 against the Broncos. Yeah, it's a whole lot of points, but at the end of the day, the past 3 matchups, the Chiefs have just blown out this Broncos team. I'm not. The thing is, I do like the Broncos, and the Broncos have actually been really good against the spread. I'm also going to be taking the Dolphins minus 11.5 against the Bengals. I am hammering against the Bengals. Screw the Bengals. They scored a special teams touchdown last week. I think that the Dolphins are more of the I'm going to score a special teams touchdown kind of team.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be taking those 2 large spreads, which is probably the bait, but we'll see what happens.
I'm taking a couple larger spreads too. I'm taking Raiders minus 8 against the Jets. Got to, it's the goddamn Jets. Like, I feel like the Jets have it covered in weeks, and I feel like after that really bad Raiders loss, like the Raiders are just going to come out here and put 40 points up on them, and like a classic little 40-14 ball game. Then I'm going to take the Vikings. Vikings minus 10 against the Jags. Vikings are a very hot team. I feel like they just come into they play the Jags where, like, we got to get the job done. No, we're not going to sugarcoat this, make this a close game. They're just going to beat up on them after a close win against the Panthers, get back to 6-6. And I just don't like the Jags here at all.
Yeah, I was thinking about taking the Vikings. My problem with the Vikings is that I'm really not a fan of their defense, and they're just not really a team that I think is really going to blow teams out right now. I do really like the Vikings, though. You know what? I'm going ballsy. We're doing it live. So I have another teaser. I'm with you on the Raiders. I'm going to be teasing them down to -2, though, because I actually have this weird feeling that the Jets are going to play well this week and give the Raiders a run for their money.
Okay.
I'm also going to be adding the 49ers on there, teasing them to 8.5 plus 8.5. Just a new 49ers team. You're playing the Bills. You got all these guys healthy. You're playing all right. And I'm going to be adding the Vikings to that. So give me Vikings -4 as well. We're going ballsy this week, Steve. Do you have any more picks?
I don't, none of my card, but I was looking at this Bill 49ers game, and it's just so small. Like, I just kind of want to take one to win, but I don't know who I take.
Well, my last pick, and this is probably my favorite pick of the week, is Rams -3 up against the Cardinals. It's not my favorite pick necessarily in that it's a lock. It's just at the end of the day, the last time the Cardinals beat the Rams was 2017 in January of 2017 with Carson Palmer. As a matter of fact, since that game, the Rams Cardinals, the Cardinals have only been in one score game with the Rams since 2017. And that was a 7-point game up against the Rams. I truly believe that Sean McVay just has this Cardinals team's number. I don't think the Cardinals match up well against this Rams team, especially with the Rams offense against the Cardinals defense. I'm just not sure the Cardinals have the talent on their front to match with what the Rams do on offense. All this crazy stuff left and right, just horizontally across the field. It's absolutely freaking bonkers. And when you're a team that has, it's not, they have some good pieces on defense. I just don't think their defense is complete enough. I think to beat the Rams, You need to have one of those defenses that has really good communication and is more complete than necessarily a defense that has a few good pieces here and there. So I like the Rams -3 this week. And honestly, I think that this is a game that you might be able to even take an alternate spread where you get him for more.
Okay. I mean, we are already doing one game where we disagree with. I think that's Saints Falcons. I
Yes.
wanted. Should I take Cardinals just to see if the trend keeps going?
I mean, yeah, dude, go ahead and take against every single one of my picks because that seems to be the one constant other than Mitchell Trubisky throwing 2.5 or throwing 3 touchdown passes against the Lions is that whenever Steed comes in here and I say a pick and he's like, well, I'm going against you. Somehow, the gods are like, this guy Steed, he's got it going on. And your team goes out there and covers. But Steed, you there? Well, I think we lost Steed. But at the end of the day, episode was just about to end anyway. So what better time to lose him than now? I guess we're just gonna assume that he then went out and took the Cardinals +3. So I'm gonna put that down for him. I'll contact him after the episode. But if you've made it this far, thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate it. If you want more content, check out the 3rd and 20 website. I have my player props article that comes out every week. We have stardom situms, other picks from other guys on the podcast. So if you're into that kind of stuff, then check out 3rdand20.com. Follow us on Twitter. Follow us on Instagram. We also have content coming up on there. But that's all. And thank you so much for listening, and peace out.